You hear that music playing in the background? That's exactly what I think of Iowa's schedule. Call Iowa Will Smith because they only roll up on people they know they can beat. I called out LSU for having a soft schedule, so it's only fair I do the same for Iowa. I was hoping I wouldn't have to make this video, but here we are. Caitlin Clark has revolutionized women's college basketball in terms of skill and popularity, and this is what we get repaid with: a cupcake schedule that rivals what LSU gave us. At least with LSU, they made the games affordable. You gotta pay $100 to watch Iowa play teams like FIU. I want to see Caitlin Clark fry up other star players, not microwave babies like Ezra Miller. I will say there's 3 games on the schedule I have no problem with. Virginia Tech and Florida State are good teams, so there's no problem there. The Iowa State game is fine because that's a rivalry that's been going on for decades, but the other games are a complete joke. LSU got a lot of flack from people for their scheduling, but hardly anyone is saying anything about Iowa's garbage schedule. Besides Virginia Tech, their schedule is full of teams that didn't make the tournament, or if they did, they got bounced in the first round. They completely avoided the Pac-12 and the SEC. Maybe the beatdown LSU gave them was too much of a traumatic experience. Here's just a small list of awesome games we could have got that we got robbed out of. A Paige Beckers versus Caitlin rematch is something people have been dying to see. We could have got a rematch with LSU or South Carolina. Any of these games easily would have broken regular season and attendance records. Even seeing them play USC would have been cool. We could see the #1 ranked recruit versus the #1 player in the country. When you factor in conference play, you can argue that LSU has a harder schedule. And this is not a compliment to LSU either. Both teams are playing Virginia Tech. Colorado and Florida State are around the same level. A common argument I see for this schedule being good is that Iowa is playing some teams that made the tournament or did well in the NIT. The problem is that there's a huge gap between the top 20 to 30 teams in women's basketball and everyone else. So while the other out-of-conference teams are technically better than what LSU is playing, the games aren't going to be competitive. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of teams that have no chance of winning and will get blown out. The difference between the out-of-conference schedules is negligible, but when it comes to conference play, the SEC is much deeper. Big Ten has 4 good teams. Maryland, Iowa, Indiana, and Ohio State, Illinois, and Michigan are okay. Everyone else is mediocre to trash, and I'm being generous with Maryland and Indiana. Maryland lost Diamond Miller and Indiana lost Grace Berger, so who knows how effective they will be this year. For the SEC, there's only 4 teams that will be complete trash next year: Vanderbilt, Missouri, Kentucky, and Auburn. I can count at least 7 in the Big Ten. I apologize to people who are fans of any of these teams, but that's how I feel. On the other hand, the SEC has so many dangerous teams. LSU and South Carolina are self-explanatory. Mississippi State gave Notre Dame a scare and are going to be even better this year. Georgia gave Iowa a scare. Tennessee always gives top-tier teams a hard time in the regular season. Ole Miss upset Stanford. These are the types of games that shape you. I worry the younger players for Iowa won't be ready. The problem with the Big Ten is that it's a run-and-gun style of play. Most teams don't play much defense. This doesn't prepare players properly. The SEC plays different. They are physical, fast, and play defense. Hannah Stuelke was a good player, but looked shook versus LSU and South Carolina. She straight up looked lost. It's because she wasn't used to that type of play. That's on Lisa Bluter, not Hannah. I could easily see this happening again in the tournament with her and other younger players. Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall, and Caitlin will be fine. But the other players won't be properly prepared with this baby schedule. I saw an interesting comment on my video about how Iowa is doing a disservice to Caitlin Clark. They said that Iowa cared more about a sense of community than winning. I absolutely believe this. It seems like they want to keep a Midwestern atmosphere all season. I mean, if they wanted to do this, they could at least give us a Notre Dame matchup. They're in Indiana. It's annoying that they aren't playing LSU, but it's very possible LSU would have said no even if they asked them. But not playing UConn is unforgivable. It's not an exaggeration to say this game would have made over $1 million alone in ticket sales. It would have shattered the ratings for most viewed regular season game. It's weird Iowa wouldn't want to play them. Maybe they are scared they would get packed up by AZ FUD again. But what do you think about Iowa's schedule? I imagine not everyone will agree about Iowa's schedule being soft. Here's my thing. If someone wants to call Iowa's schedule good, then the LSU schedule has to be good also. Because the strength level is very similar. Thanks for watching this video. Feel free to give your thoughts on this topic, no matter your opinion.